Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this session with Hunter. We have him alone and just for ourselves today. So I have gathered all your questions, and we will start immediately with the first one. Oh, maybe Hunter, you want to say something?
Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we're excited to share more about progress on the game.
Yeah, so let's go. So first question is a question that we have here. Yes, so I will read the full extent, but you see the summarized one at the bottom of the screen. So, hello team. Many of us are experiencing some bugs and access issue within the map and mini games, resulting in wasted time and Marsha. What do you plan to do to fix this? And will there soon be a reimbursement method for players?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, we've been working behind the scenes to get fixes in place for all of these things. We actually released fixes for this already. So if you log into the game, if you go into the Earn page, there's a new tab called Expedition History. And you can actually see every single expedition that you've done in the past. And if there was a time where you weren't able to claim resources, you can go straight there, press claim, and you can get your resources there. We've also, been working on getting the in-game store stood up, which a lot of you have been following along on. And really the importance of this, just to reiterate, is we're building a foundation for us to have a robust in-game economy for NFTs and in-game assets. And we've basically put in all the infrastructure for that now. And so we're able to release more and more frequent sort of NFTs and new items, and that will expand over time. So really now the engineering team is fully focused on finishing up the gameplay, finishing up some of the blockchain infrastructure and token bridge and things like that. So we're making a lot of headway in the last few weeks on getting those things ready to go. But essentially with the store, there are always things that come up when we're interacting with the blockchain and waiting for things to validate over there. So to mitigate any issues with not being able to claim your NFTs, we've put in a pretty cool purchase history tab, which should show you not only, it should allow you to claim any NFTs that you weren't able to claim when you purchased. So no one's losing their NFTs. And then also it should show you the receipt of everything you've purchased in the past and how that's affected your collection strength. And again, collection strength is a number that we use in the game to give a weight to the rarity and quantity of the cards that you have for each item type on Mars. So we thought that was kind of cool that we basically have that collection strength be the result of whatever you get in your supply crates.
Great. So next question. So there was a number of questions from that person, so I will split them into two parts. So the first part is, what is the updated timeline for the gameplay, the bridge, and which one will come first?
Yeah, it's a great question, and something that we are thinking about every day. This is what the team's focused on. We are really working towards getting the gameplay out. The bridge is, of course, a nice infrastructural way for us to expand both our reach as a game and our audience. So our focus right now is we basically have the team structured to around gameplay and around sort of core services. So both are making progress towards launch. I think we'll be able to release these around the same time. Ideally, gameplay comes first. We got some feedback from our community. Gameplay is really what people want to see first. We agree. So we're working that into the timeline. We don't have any kind of date to announce yet, but we are making a lot of progress in the last week, and I think we'll be pretty close. Coming up pretty soon. I'd imagine in the next few weeks we can at least give you guys kind of the launch date. But we are working towards that every day, and that's going to be the next thing to come. So expect gameplay, expect fun. The first thing that's going to be kind of launched is, of course, the full dynamic resource chain. And what the team's really working through right now is optimizing the calculations for all the players, because we have basically a system every hour. If you can imagine, kind of, your mission control on Mars, right? You're logging into the interface that we built, and every hour you're getting data back from Mars on what's going on Mars. And so the calculations in the backgrounds are updating everyone's resource amounts, calculating how hazards affect things, and it's a pretty complex engineering problem to solve and optimize. So that's really what we're fixing right now, making sure that it's as robust as possible so that it can really be a great gameplay experience.
Okay, I just realized I had not taken the mic, put it back on. Okay, so next part of the question from the same player. What is your plan in attracting new players? Will we list Marsha to gain more players? Where are we going? Where are we right now?
Yeah, so Scott and the marketing team are doing a great job with putting in the strategies in place to basically have us sustain, communication and promotion of the game over time. We'll be releasing some videos and really socializing those, which are walkthroughs, promotional things. They look amazing. They're really well done, and definitely going to be awesome to showcase. And I think it'll really help us broaden our audience. So expect those to be coming out soon, and that, along with larger influencer reach, larger creator reach, I think will really help us bring in a lot more people from some of the social channels. So we're really focusing our strategy around that, and expect to see that stuff pretty soon. In terms of Marsha, of course, it's our in-game token. We have the bridge that's coming out, which allows us to have tokens on the Binance Smart Chain. We're also structuring our bridge so that it's easy to go to Ethereum and other chains. So, that's another way to get more people in the game and playing. So, all those things are being actively developed right now, and we've made a lot of progress on that. So, expect those things to basically come and help us expand our audience.
So from another player who will recognize himself. So after the idea to start Colonize Mars kicked in, how was it to start a team? And did you knew Tom before, or did you came up to work together?
Yeah, so again, like, Colonize Mars really is about how can we inspire people to become multiplanetary, and how can we tell that story. And it started with me and some people to help me visualize that vision and start that process. And you can kind of see some of the artwork behind me of the first missions and sort of how we envision Mars expanding. And as we got further and further into it, we started to conceptualize what the first parts of the game would look like. And one of the most important things with blockchain games is to get the virtual economy right and get the balance right. And that's what's important for us to make sure we get correct, because what's unique with NFT games is that once you release an asset, once you release a token, it's there permanently. So for us, Tom has been a great partner in helping us make sure that we have the balance we need in the virtual economy. But also, like, we have a lot of other really talented people on the team. The team's grown significantly over the last year and a half, and now we have a full marketing team. We have a full engineering team, design team. We just brought on some additional gameplay designers. both with decades of experience in the gaming industry, working at places like EA and Disney and Star Citizen and Eve Online and games like that. So we really have a great depth of talent on the team and knowledge. And now we're kind of set up as a more proper game studio with the talent we have on the team. And so we pretty much have everyone we need to continue to execute, the game, the vision throughout the next year and beyond. So really excited about that. And now it's about just kind of, continuing to build this. And, it's been awesome to see how it's evolved. Here to stay. Yes. I think you might be muted, Stephanie.
I'm trying not to have background noise while you are talking, so I'm muting myself each time, and then I forget to take it back.
The lore team, of course. So Sean Stewart and his team, developing the ISA and the story around that. We actually have some really cool stuff that we're doing with the ISA that should be ready for the first launch. So you'll hopefully get to meet some of the characters and explore a little bit of that world and actually feel a part of it when you log into the game. And so I'm very excited about that because it's an important part. You want to feel like you're a part of a Humans to Mars mission control, and that's why we exist. We want people to be inspired and feel like they're part of a real Mars program. And the interface is designed that way. The way that we have built the assets and the artwork, we want to give that feeling of photorealism and attention to detail. So yeah, I can't wait to share this stuff.
Yes. So I lost my line in the list. Yeah. Okay. So what was the best lesson so far from a great and so great experience?
I think for me, what's so interesting about as we've kind of gotten deeper into really designing a city for Mars, what's really interesting to me is that there's a huge opportunity to disrupt the aerospace industry. And this is what gets me so excited because, what we're doing is we're creating a way for people to be involved in helping shape what a Mars civilization could look like before we're actually on Mars. And the aerospace industry kind of traditionally has been a bit more closed off. There's a lot of funding needed to get physical projects off the ground, so to speak. And what we're doing is we're, I think, enabling a platform that allows people to participate in that future now. And I think for me, the realization that there's a lot of people that are interested and excited to participate in that future now has been one of the biggest things that I've learned. I didn't realize how many people were excited about Mars when we started. And, the first 24 hours we launched, we sold millions of NFTs. Thousands of people were excited and still are. And I think that for me, that's so encouraging. And it's really been helpful to have continued support and faith in the project and the vision, even a year and a half later. And at the same time, like the time scale that we're working on is pretty tight. So we're working as hard as we can to get this out. And we appreciate the ongoing support. It really means a lot to the team, and it's great to see.
Yes, very true. Yes. Oops. Next one. So during this bear market, what's your strategic positioning to take competitive advantage?
To build. right now is the time to really put our heads down and continue to just create the great game that we envision. The team is set up for the future. We have the right talent on the team, and we want to make sure that we're set up to um, for the ups and downs of blockchain. And really, we're operating the game itself is really what we're interested in, right? It's about making an experience that's compelling and stands on its own. So I think that that's one of the things that I wish I hope to see more in the Web3 space is a focus on what makes a great game, and what are the things that really anchor that to an experience that people can come away with surprised and delighted and excited and wanting to come back the next day. And so it really helps to focus on that, regardless of how the market in general is doing. And we're thankful to be in a position where we can build right now. And I think that we're coming out of that building phase. We're very close to finishing up the gameplay first kind of release, and we've almost fully designed the land and some of the other areas around that, which I think have turned out to be awesome. It's a very unique perspective on land, and I think that people will be really excited to see how we've approached it, and approach it in a way where it's following the same thought process as a mission control for Mars would follow. And the goal is to really have it evolve in a way that might truly evolve on Mars. These outposts and these things might actually expand beyond a main colony. So it did take a lot of thought. We have some really talented people who've been working on it, and I think that that's going to be a big competitive advantage for us.
Great. Alors, next question. And then next question. If I'm starting to put some French into the text, that won't go correctly. Okay, so any hints of what kind of perks or benefits official Colonize Mars communities will have besides what's already mentioned in the player guide or white paper?
Yeah, so we're really focusing on this for the land. I hesitate to call it land gameplay because really it's more about expanding beyond the initial footprints of Mars. And it's bigger than land. It's more about how do we as a community on a new planet think about how to solidify and expand human presence on this new planet. So with that, there's going to be naturally groups that form. And the ways that we've designed it, there's distinct benefits to grouping up with your friends, grouping up with people that align on what their personal goals are on Mars. And I think that this works really well for guilds. It works really well for official Colonize Mars communities. There will be a more formal process to creating a Colonize Mars community, and it will be through our governance system. So, of course, it's definitely beneficial to have one now because you kind of were able to get in early and not need as much of a review process, I guess, to get in. But in the future, it will be possible to have other communities and guilds that are involved in the game, and you'll be able to do things like create sort of settlements or groups of land that there's certain benefits to trading within that group versus trading outside of that group. You'll be able to pool resources and things like that to level up that settlement and make it more influential than others. So there's going to be a competitive element to sort of your group and your guild versus others, and we think that that's natural and that's what will happen. There will be specializations to these, so maybe based on where you are on the map, what resources are underneath the ground, what proximity it has to other places on the map. These are all factors that determine where to go. And then depending on what you want to do as a group, we have Lucram, right? The mining group. We have the Martian Gastronomic Consortium, right? The food production. And these areas are going to be more beneficial, to have be the starting point to those communities. And so, yeah, we'll release more about it. We have, like I said, it designed, and it's going to be the thing that we start developing. It's probably going to be, something we try to get in a little bit later, probably like early next year is when we're going to be able to get to it. But it's we'll definitely try to release some stuff before then. But it's going to be really cool the way that it's working.
Right, and I already changed, as we were starting to answer about specialization and so on, I changed the question at the bottom because there was also the second part of the question that was, is there any strategies that the communities can focus on right now ahead of time to prepare?
Yeah, and just to kind of go back to the marketing, like one of the things we're going to be focusing on is the different strategies that you can use to play the game, because there are sort of a multitude of ways that you can approach the game. So we'll be diving a little bit more and giving some more guides into what areas you can focus on, because Mars is a big place. There's a lot of resources. There's a lot of ways you can kind of go with it. So we want to start by giving some direction for newer players or less experienced players, and make sure that they have a great experience too.
Okay, so now you can hear me. Okay, so next question. And what's stopping you from updating the community frequently? When will it be the resource gameplay or about the bridge? That's something we already touched on. And are we having problems with regard to listing?
So I don't think there's much, stopping us really. We did release the Art Leaks channel, which has a lot of work in progress artwork and things that are happening week to week with the team. So you can really see the level of detail that we're developing with. There's also, finishing up some of the features that are going to be releasing initially, getting those designs as accurate as they can be before we release them. So I think, we'll be able to start sharing that stuff probably, within the next week or so. And I think that will, kind of help answer some of the questions that maybe this is alluding to. The bridge itself, we are making a lot of progress on it. We're sort of like in the test net phase of it, and just working through some of the functionality, hooking it up to our interface. So yeah, no problems with it. It's just the amount of work that it takes to get through these things and make sure that it's secure and safe is really what is taking time. I mean, the store release that we just did, it was very smooth. It, NFTs were being purchased. The whole purchase flow was, revised. We basically brought the entire experience that you get on Atomic Hub. We put it on our website, which is an incredible amount of work, including the videos and the purchase summary and all that stuff. And so that kind of level of detail is what we want to bring to the game as well. So that's really what's taking the time. But we've been making a lot of progress, and it's been steady. And we are taking an approach of just trying to make it a sustainable and foundational for the long term.
Right. Okay, and so the next question is, when can you expect to have the missing information regards to the resource gameplay? So the number of repair token and medicine tokens that are needed for some repair or some curing of astronauts?
Yeah, I mean, that should be before we get the gameplay out. So I would expect, it's going to be maybe a week or two before the gameplay comes out. And of course, Mission 4, it's an important update because it finishes off the items needed to complete the resource chain. So those are, that's why it's important for us to have those NFTs in circulation and purchasable in our store. And if you manage the resource chain well, you'll be able to put some resources into colony development, which gives you access to, rare ownership cards and sponsorship cards and discovery NFTs, which are essentially skill modifiers. So all that information will be available before we release the game.
Well, when can you? Yeah, that's the one I just read. Forget what I just said. So apart from the educational aspect and real science application on this game, how does the team plan to build an exciting game on top of all the missions and ongoing development happening during the colonization of Mars in order to attract new players? Because this is Web3, a Web3 game, and new players and participation should be the sole purpose.
Yeah, totally. And, although there is an educational element to the game itself is going to be more of a real-time strategy game that is meant to really appeal to strategic gamers to start. And we think that that's a significant portion of the Web3 community, will be interested in strategic gaming. Some things that we're doing, I think, besides the marketing that we are putting out, there's also the onboarding experiences that we're working on, some ways to get people into the game and following sort of certain paths. There's some important sort of gameplay elements, right? There's things like making it easy to understand, what NFTs do in the game, which is we have some videos coming out that are really pivotal and kind of helping people understand that. We also will have people covering the game, giving tips and tricks, tutorials, things like that, so that you really can dive into certain strategies. And our goal is to create this vibrant sort of strategic game that you can pretty much do what you want, and there's different ways to achieve different types of success. And that's really what we see on Mars, happening anyways. If you want to specialize in power, if you want to specialize in expeditions or exploration, or if you want to specialize, or if you want to be self-sustaining, do the whole thing yourself. There's a path for you in Mission Control where you can level up, and by leveling up, you get certain bonuses and certain skills. And so, things like player progression and making sure that, there's incentive to log back every game or every, hour or day, or that's also important. So those things, it's sort of player retention, getting people into the game, making it easy as possible to start playing, and then having as many ways within the game to keep players coming back. And so we're thinking about those things, and it will be important that we, have those in place, which is why, that's really what we're focusing on right now. And then, of course, it's always fun to learn about the science, the design of the objects, the resources themselves. They're all based on the actual sort of Martian science. But I would think about this as a strategy game that has a wider appeal than purely an educational audience. It's not an educational audience that we are targeting. We're targeting strategic gamers.
Okay, so on my list, yeah. So next one, we go back to more of the feature and technical part. How do you plan to bridge this on different chain like Ethereum, Solana, etc., apart from BNB? Solana is developing as the main hub for gaming, and NFT market should also be on the radar before the next hype begins.
Yeah, so our token bridge is structured so it's easy to go to different chains. I think we actually might be launching on Binance and Ethereum at the same time. I need to double check. We're testing on both right now, but Solana, Flow, others, it's pretty straightforward for us to add that in. We just want to get the initial build out, and that's really our focus. So it's actually the branching to different chains is not the hard part. It's putting the secure infrastructure in place to be able to do that, which is the hard part, and interfacing within our game. So there will be things like claiming Marsha in the game are going to change, where instead of claiming Marsha, you'll be able to withdraw and deposit Marsha. And so that's one feature. There will also be some other ones that you can do in the game, like swapping tokens and some of the liquidity features that we have as well. So yeah, those are coming, and that's what we're working on right now.
So next one. Yes, this one is about the land sale, and I'm taking the long version to read. So how do you plan to execute the land sale? Give us some hint of expression of your idea on how you plan to develop this game and how you're gonna compete with other competitors in the space.
Yeah, so as I was saying before, the game is really, if you think about it, almost in two phases. The first phase is developing the main colony, which is the ISA, or Interplanetary Space Alliance, which is our version of what a Humans to Mars decentralized, organization organizing those missions would look like. They are the ones that are master planning the first colony on Mars, and that's what we're building right now. That's what you see on the map, and players can act as mission control operatives and maintain those items. But every mission is essentially a expansion of the main colony, basically being built out with more and more complex and advanced systems, more and more astronauts, and eventually the main colony will achieve a certain size. And then the second phase of the game is expanding beyond the main colony. This is where a lot more player choice comes into the fray, which is not only do you get to choose where do you want to go, but also what do you want to build. And this is different than the main colony, because the main colony is, we've already chosen where we're going. We already chose sort of what the layout will be, the master plan will be, and it's up to players to help make sure that things are efficient, things are maintained, and that they leave their mark on those items. They leave their mark on Mars, and they own and acquire sort of influence within that main colony, and they're rewarded with Marsha tokens and resource tokens, and also expanding their ownership and influence within the main colony. So the land is, again, expanding beyond the main colony. And I think there's some pretty unique elements to what we're doing. One of them is, of course, the governance system is going to be key to deciding where we go. And also it's playing into the community element of, what settlements are officially recognized, what settlements are sort of still more the Wild West. And, there will be trade that happens, which is important. And so we're looking at things like distances between items, because you need to make sure you have power or water in the right place. I think that's a very interesting and unique element, because on Mars, like, you might go and start a small outpost, but if you run out of water, you're not going to make it that very far. So you have to really plan not only about the resources, but also where you're going, what you can produce there. So it's really a goal of becoming self-sustaining, as a community. And I think that that's much bigger than just, owning a piece of Mars. I think that, owning a specific piece of land on Mars, but not really thinking through the economic implications of that and the resource chain and how you strategize to really make that something great and something that will last a long time. I think that's what's really interesting about it. And so we'll explore more of that. We definitely should share some visuals. I think it's coming along really nicely, and I think people really enjoy that. So yeah, we'll try to do that pretty soon, but one thing at a time. We don't we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I see in the chat there is already a question like, can we find a name for the colony, and suggestion of what the name could be. Or will there be a major of a bookmaster for the colony and so a governor. So okay, so yeah, already all thinking about what you will do and how you will take control of your part of the colony. Okay. So then, yeah, I am too. So okay, so next question is more about a larger vision of what the game will be like. So how do you envision the 3D MMO game to work? I keep picturing something similar to Rust, but at the moment, what are your current thoughts for this specific part of the project going forward?
Yeah. So I think like just kind of going back to what is our perspective on colonizing Mars. And we kind of want like a generation to know Mars as being like a place that's beautiful and not just a constant struggle and dreariness. And what are the 5 ways I might die today? Which I think it makes for a very compelling and exciting game, which is, I think, Rust kind of has that element of survival. A lot of other Mars games have this element of, how do you not die? But like our vision is bigger than that. Our vision is to inspire people to want to go, because ultimately, if we can get humanity to be a multiplanetary species, it's going to have a whole host of benefits for expanding human civilization. And so, like the balance that we're trying to the line we're towing is, how do we keep it exciting? How do we make it so that there's some risk versus reward in the 3D game? And but also, how do we showcase the beauty? How do we get people to really be excited when they pull their rover up to their house and want to go inside and decorate it and make it look cool and like show their friends and like experience what a Martian sunset looks like, and have some of those moments, which I think can also be executed well in a game. So I would think of the 3D experience being more of an immersive experience where you are an astronaut and you are on the surface of Mars, and you are fulfilling certain things, possibly from the strategy game, the mission control, job requests, transportation missions, etc. And you are a player, an astronaut that can sort of create their own homestead, create their own area on Mars. And we do see a lot of connection because we want to use the same virtual economy. We want to see the same assets being in both the strategy game and the 3D experience. I think that just we're still figuring out what is the multiplayer element to it. We also want this to be released in a time frame that's manageable. MMOs are, of course, a huge undertaking. So this is something that we will explore basically the first parts of this early next year, and we'll just keep you guys updated on it. But really, our focus is the strategy game. That's really where we are right now, but that hopefully gives you a little bit of a glimpse in how we're thinking about an expanded experience of the Colonize Mars universe.
Great. So those are the questions I had here. So there were question of details about the role of the leads and other detail on the permanent greenhouses compared to the inflatable one. I guess those are things that can be answered just in the chat in the Discord. Maybe I will take a look at the comments here. So we need surviving mechanics for the 3D MMO. Okay. Just checking the chat now, Hunter, maybe if you see something in the chat that you want to answer to.
PSVR. Yeah, VR is cool. Yeah, let us know what you want in VR. What would be exciting for you guys? I think that would be fun to put in. It's actually not too difficult to have certain VR elements. So let's think about that. Let's figure out what that looks like. But again, like we are focused on what is the core sort of strategic gameplay loop and putting that in place first, and really optimizing that, making that a great experience. Then we can start building some of these other things on top of that. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be awesome to explore Mars, and that feeling of walking or driving on the red planet, with the different gravity and the different landscape, I think is going to be really awesome. So yeah, I'm excited. It seems like there's a lot of awesome comments and feedback. Appreciate you guys continuing to be involved in the community. We're working as hard as we can behind the scenes. Check out the Art Leaks channel. There's some really cool stuff in there. Stephanie's been doing a great job there, pulling some of the artists and developers, and getting some more content to you guys so you can see what we're doing. So yeah, thank you everyone. I think you're muted.
I was saying just taking them out of the cave where they are working all the time and trying to get a few minutes of video to share.
Yeah.
As needs in the Discord. Not always easy to run after someone and could I get a few pictures, please?
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's great. And they are playing the game. Just I have to remind them from time to time, please send that to me. So that's great. And so thanks everyone for joining. I will see you in the Discord in a few minutes, and have a nice day, evening, morning, afternoon, depends where you are. And thanks, Hunter, again.
See you guys.
And see you all. Bye.